Hello, this is Carla Michelle, your host of the Strong Women's Network podcast. And this is where we discuss being strong, strategic, talented, resilient, optimistic, necessary, and global. It is not the world. Make sure it's your world that you're impacting. And I have a special guest today. Lenea Sims is in the house. Hello, Lenea.
Hi.
Hi. It's so glad to have you here and
Yes.
hear what's all that's going on with you and interplay and all that you've learned over these, days and weeks and months and years. And just, I want to learn more. And I want the listeners to learn more about you because you are straight a strong woman.
Great. Thank you. That's so nice.
You're
Thanks for
welcome.
having me.
It's a pleasure. So can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Lenea Sims. I'm a sociologist, an educator, a self-development coach, and I founded two platforms, one called Interplay, and the other is Outer Work, which is my new baby. And yeah, I'm super excited to be here and talk more about everything that I've been up to.
Oh, this is great. Well, tell me a little bit more about Interplay.
Sure. So I started Interplay about a year ago, and it is a platform that I call a self-development summer camp for grown-ups. And so basically, it kind of came out of my own wellness journey. I grew up in LA, and I grew up, going to acupuncture and doing lots of more like alternative medicines, I guess. And after college, I was feeling kind of burned out and just kind of stressed, and I was trying all these different things and ended up working in the wellness world for a good long while, still do technically. And in that process I realized there was a lot of wellness out there that was very serious and very beige and very zen. And so I wanted to bring kind of some fun and some color to it, because I realized that what really made me feel good was just like doing stuff that was fun for me, like hanging out with my friends and watching dumb movies and also doing stuff like breath work or getting acupuncture, but, mixing it in and trying to find ways to kind of lighten it a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I started Interplay as a way to help other people do that. And so through that platform, we do workshops, we do everything from breath work to doing collages to qigong to like crochet classes. So we do all kinds of fun stuff. Yeah. And that's Interplay, and it's been going really well, and it's been a really beautiful process to watch it unfold. And we have members from all over the world who come together in these workshops, and it's just a lot of fun.
So these workshops are virtual?
Yeah, they're all virtual. I've been doing Interplay for over a year now, but I quit my day job earlier this year to focus on it. And I quit my day job one day before shelter in place started. So,
okay.
So, I quickly pivoted and made everything virtual, which is great. I live kind of up in Northern California, and so away from most of the members anyway. Most of the members live in like LA or New York. So it was probably always going to be virtual, but now, with everything going on, it's kind of become perfect for me to do everything online. Mm-hmm.
Look at that. Well, look at it. I believe that's the way that a lot of us will be doing interaction with our communities.
Yeah, definitely.
The virtual route. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
Cool. So tell us about Outer Work then.
Yeah. So Outer Work is brand new. I started it just a few weeks ago. And so the story, I guess, with Outer Work is, after the death of George Floyd and the protests all starting, I really started to take a look at, me. I'm a mixed race woman. I'm Black presenting, of course, but I am mixed race, and I definitely have been afforded a lot more proximity to whiteness, I guess, in my life. Like, I went to mostly white schools growing up, and very much was assimilated into white culture, I guess. And so I thought about that, and I thought about how there's so much I don't know about being Black, and there's so much I don't know about racism. And so I sent out just like an email to my Interplay list saying, I'm going to start this process for myself of wanting to be really held accountable for my own education. And so I was like, if anybody wants to join me, I'm going to just start an email chain where it's going to be like, every day I'll send like an article or two to read around a topic, and like some action items we can take, and some reflection questions that we can all think about. And it was very organic. Like I just thought, you know, maybe 10 people will be interested, and it'll just be like a fun little email group where we can kind of hold each other accountable for this work in anti-racism. And then it exploded. You know,
Yes.
like I ended up getting a huge amount of responses to that first email that I sent out, and I realized, okay, well, I want to create something maybe a little more legit that has space for people to connect with one another and not just all be run through my email, because it's just too much. So I built a second platform, and I decided to call it Outer Work, because it's like the opposite of inner play, right? And it's all about, you know, this social change. And so I built it, and then it exploded even more, and we ended up getting over 600 members in the first week, which is crazy. And so we're now building this whole other platform, and it's been incredible. And yeah, basically what it is just, I call it an education network for cultivating collective change. And so the idea is that I post in there every day, like I had planned to, with education, reflection, and action. But there's also forums where people can talk about, you know, I had a conversation with my mom about race today, and this is what happened. Does anyone have any advice? Or, you know, I'm having these feelings arise for myself right now. Does anyone have any encouragement they can give? And so it's kind of just turned into this work together. Yeah.
So it's very interactive as well.
Yeah, it is
what's happening, and what you're creating is a relationship with the 600 members amongst themselves as well. It's not just you.
Exactly.
It's like you're facilitating for sure, right. But yet the discussion is wider. Are you able to know the ratio of the races that are involved, or is that?
I ended up taking a poll, actually, because I was curious, and it's about 80% white people, and then there's a lot of other mixed race people in there as well, and a lot of Asian Americans as well. But what's interesting too is there's a lot of people from other countries. There's a lot of Australians, Canadians, you know, other countries that definitely have racism as well, and deal with racism as well. And so I thought that's really cool too, because people can bring in different perspectives. A lot of people in Australia will talk about kind of the racism towards the indigenous peoples there. So that's really interesting to learn about. So it's been really cool.
So this is worldwide stuff going on.
Yeah. It's global.
I love it.
Just like
it's global. Yes, it is. So you are such a strong woman. That's so great. So when you talk about 80% being white participants, do you feel the pressure of being their educator?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I do. But I feel like I've tried really hard to be transparent, and I try with every lesson. I try to be transparent about, like, these were my thoughts about this topic. I didn't know either, and I'm learning too. And I've said from the beginning, like, I'm doing this work, and of course, you know, having a sociology background and being Black, like, I of course understand race on maybe a deeper level than most people do, most white people especially, but I also, you know, it's not like Black people are born anti-racist experts, right? Like, we have to learn all of this work too. So I try to be transparent about that, and I say, you know, the whole point is I hope to just spark a curiosity for people. And so I don't want to be the end-all be-all expert on anything. I don't claim to be, but I think, you know, we can encourage people to start doing their own learning, take what I say and then study it more if they're interested, and go deeper with themselves and try to just become their own expert and their own guide as much as they can, you know, from pulling different information from lots of different sources.
So you're a part of it, the bigger picture, definitely playing a role. Because I know there is, and thank you for what you're doing. A lot of us in the Black community may find it offensive when our white counterpart is asking, so what do I do? And how do I show up? I get questions, you know, how can I help? And can I do this? And do I have all the answers? No. But yet it is an opportunity to get the answers to those who want to know.
Exactly.
And on the other hand, though, some people feel like they should learn I shouldn't have to educate them.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, to each its own.
Yeah.
But this is an opportunity, I feel, that in the midst of this ugliness that has happened and continues to happen, at least they're asking, more are asking now than ever before.
Yes.
So this is our opportunity, and we want to be heard and we want to be seen. And that's exactly what you're doing, is taking that opportunity.
Yeah.
And really making it work.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, you know, I know a lot of Black people, and Black women in particular, who are like, I'm tired of holding up the world, you know. I don't want to educate anyone anymore. Like, people can use Google, and I think that's totally fair, and it's like totally understandable. But for me, because of, you know, like I was mentioning, you know, my proximity to whiteness and growing up in white schools, and you know, I think I have a greater capacity and more, like, I have the ability to have more patience because I haven't been doing this education work for so long. And so I totally understand why people would be not open to wanting to educate, but I feel like, yes, we should have people who are open, and I'm happy to be one of those people and to like help take that burden off of others.
Good.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes you could feel that maybe because we feel we don't have the answer as a Black community, we take it on as pressure.
Right.
But sometimes we have to come to the reality of we don't have the answer. We don't know how to educate you. So we get offended or frustrated, but it's really because we need to do our own work on how to educate, for those of us who want to.
Right.
But there's an opportunity for us to educate ourselves on responses to the questions that we think are you kidding me?
Yeah,
you know?
right.
But yet to them, it's like, no, I'm not kidding you. I'm really serious. And I don't know. And I don't even know how to ask the question that I want to ask without offending you. So it's just so sticky.
Yeah.
But yet in this time, for those of us and those of you like you who want to rise up and do this, kudos to you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Kudos. I want to take you back, and then plus going from, I think I'll have 10 members to 600. What you said in a week, your first week.
Yeah.
I mean, kudos. That's great. You know, many of us would love to have that happen.
Yeah.
And here you are, and you've had to. I want to go back flip the script a little bit. You quit your job.
Yeah.
Now that's a big leap. Tell me what led up to that.
Oh gosh, so many things.
Okay. That you want to share.
No, I'm super happy to share. I'm just like, where do I start? But basically, so I was living in LA ever since I graduated from school, which was 5 years ago. I've been living in LA, and I, you know, met my boyfriend, and we were living in LA together, and we just started to feel like at some point, you know, maybe we should go try living somewhere else, just to see, because we're both more like slow paced kind of people, and LA is obviously not that slow. And, you know, he was working in an office job in advertising that he didn't love. And I've pretty much worked for myself and worked from home since college. Like I was doing consulting work. And so I had more flexibility. And so we were like, you know what, let's maybe think about moving somewhere else. While that was happening, we went on a vacation to Santa Cruz in Northern California, where he's from San Jose, but he used to come to Santa Cruz a lot as a kid because it's only like 45 minutes away. And so we were on vacation here, and we just thought, you know, it's really beautiful here. Like maybe this could be a cool place for us to plop down for a while. And so we decided to move. And that was just over a year ago. We decided to move 2 years ago, and then we ended up moving about a year ago. And so once we moved, you know, and I started to settle into this more slow-paced life, and, you know, I was still working for this company down in LA, and I was still doing their marketing for them, working 30 hours a week, so it wasn't ever super full-time or anything. But then I just started to feel like, you know, I just want to cut ties with it, and I just want to move on to something else. I didn't really know what to do, and I held on to that job for about a year after I kind of wanted to leave because I didn't know what to do with myself. And then, you know, the idea for Interplay I had thought of before, and I had been kind of battling it and not knowing and feeling really like stuck and just back and forth about it and not sure what I should do. And I finally just kind of literally overnight was like, no, I'm doing this. I'm taking the leap. I need to just like go for it and see what happens. And I need to just trust myself and trust that it's going to work out. And I was in a financial position to be able to do it. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to do it, and I just have to do it. And I just did, and I quit. And I ended up I quit, and then I unquit like a week later. I went back to my boss and I was like, maybe we can work out some of the problems. Like, maybe we can. I resisted it.
I like the unquit.
Yeah.
I unquit.
I did. I unquit, and it was like this back and forth. It was so bad. And then I had to quit again. And it was like it was a messy process. I guess is my long story short, was like, it was a kind of constant battle back and forth between what I really knew I wanted and needed to do, and like my head telling me that I wasn't good enough to do it yet.
Wow.
So at some point I just got tired of that dialogue with myself, and I just was like, okay, we're just gonna do this. And I'm glad I did, because then like 3 months later, here I am now with 2 businesses that are doing very well. So I had to do that, to make room for this.
Yes. And that's key, because if you didn't leave, it's a possibility that outer play wouldn't have the space that it needed,
right,
to cater to 600
right, exactly
people, Exactly. So either way, you've made the space, and that's so true. You make the space for it, and a lot of people want the things to happen first and then make the space,
right.
But what I hear you're saying is there's a benefit in making a space and then letting it be filled by, what could be your ideal purpose,
right?
Your ideal plan for your life. Wow.
Yeah, totally.
And so you said you had this like negative self-talk going on, and what helped you get over that? Was it just the decision to just say, screw it, I'm leaping?
It was honestly a very long process. So a lot of my self-development work that I do with other people, is obviously rooted in the stuff that I've worked on with myself. And I have a background also in doing energy work.
Okay.
And so I do energy work on myself like every day. I do these like series of morning exercises, and it sounds kind of silly, but it's like when I wake up in the morning, I do this little routine where I march in place and I tap on certain like acupressure points to kind of get myself motivated and going for the day. And I do like a little meditation where I visualize what I want my life to look like, or even sometimes it's just today I want my day to look like this, and I just visualize the flow of the day. Or I really am trying to call in this next phase of my career, and so I'll visualize that for a really long time until it happens, and it always happens. And so that's what I was doing. I was visualizing my life, and every day when I did it, I would visualize like, I get to write every day, and I have a team that helps me, and I have like this great platform, and I have all these members, and I do this work and I do this work, and I would visualize it in detail every day. And so I was doing that for like probably 6 months every single day. And then one day I really realized, I was like, oh, the only thing that's standing in my way is this job. Like I could literally have all of that tomorrow, but I just have to like quit this job. And so that was the moment that I kind of flipped the switch. But I think that had I not been doing that visualization every day and working on my own energy every day, I wouldn't have gotten to that point,
And that's what battled the negative self-talk.
Exactly.
Was seeing yourself on the other side,
right?
Seeing yourself winning, seeing yourself, and actually committed to this. 6 months. A lot of us feel like if we do this work, and they're probably taking notes of tapping and meditating and calling in your next phase of life, and all this, whatever they can define as their energy work, and they do it for a week and then don't see results and give up. But it's something about staying with it. And then also what I'm hearing you say is be alert to what outer actions you have to do with the inner work that you're doing. Totally. Is that correct?
Yeah, totally. I think, there's a lot of talk about manifestation, and I think manifestation is great, but you also have to be able to set goals, like real goals, and take steps towards those goals every day. Right? Like you have to be able to like you're exactly like you're saying, you have to be willing to take those outer steps as well as doing the inner work. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Wow. But that is a battle you won. and it wasn't easy.
Right.
But then it was almost simple once you decided.
Yeah, it was.
That
It was
just
kind of crazy. Yeah.
and I think, that's where we kind of lose it, to make a decision. Just make the decision. Not to make a decision is making a decision.
Right.
But you made the decision, like, the only thing holding me back is this. Okay, let me do it.
Right.
I love it.
Exactly.
Okay. Oh my gosh. So you went from you quit your job, and that's 3 months ago, and then COVID shows up. Did you feel anything about some kind of way about the stay at home, and did you freak, or
well, you know what
happened?
What's interesting is, so I already worked from home, and it was funny because when I quit my job, I was like, I'm gonna get a part-time job in town, like in Santa Cruz. Just like, I got a part-time job at a retail store that I really liked, that I went to all the time anyway, and I was like, I'll just work here like 12 hours a week.
Love
it. just so I could have like some steady income and not be stressed. And also because I was like, I work from home all the time, it'd be good for me to like get out, be social. So there was a brief period of overlap between like when I still had my other job and I had this new part-time job. So I was working 7 days a week for like a month and a half. And then I quit my job, had my last day. And then the next day I had a day of work at the store. And then the next day, shelter in place orders were presented. And so I went from 7 days a week to nothing, to having no job basically at all, and having no sense of security at all. And but it was actually kind of great, because then I was like, so I basically got rid of one distraction so I could start Interplay, and I replaced it with another distraction.
Wow.
And then the universe was like, no distractions, like that was basically how I felt, was like, okay, I'm being pushed to really do this. And so that's when I buckled down and did it. And I mean, my day-to-day life didn't change all that much, because like I said, I work from home anyway. I've only lived in Santa Cruz for about a year. I have very few friends, which is how I like it. And
I love it.
And so it, life didn't change all that much. My boyfriend stopped going to work, so he was home more, but we adjusted to that really quickly too. And it's been nice, honestly, in a lot of ways, to just be able to hunker down and focus on what I need to focus on. I've definitely gotten antsy in the last month, where I just want to go to LA. I want to go home and see my family. That's been hard. But my day-to-day life, I think, hasn't changed a ton. I'm one of the lucky ones.
Yeah. Well, but I love how you are, because you're able to just kind of just flow with the current that is happening. And many of us have to, many of us were forced to, and many of us hopefully have taken advantage of it and used it for our good, like starting our side hustle or something to go on that takes you to the next level. You mentioned like your sense of security. And subconsciously, I'm going to just say this, you went ahead and replaced it. You used the word replaced. Something you got rid of it with another. Were you aware that that's what you were doing?
Yeah, I think just on some level I definitely was.
Okay.
But I was like, it's fine, because it's just part-time, and it's different than like, working like maybe like an office job where I have to take it home with me. It's just like an easy, and I, there's some truth to that, but
yeah,
I definitely think I knew that I was putting up these blocks because of fear. Yeah.
So what would you tell someone who's somewhat in that situation where you are, where they've been contemplating for a while, and they're thinking about taking that leap, and it's like really, really heavy on them, and they know they should do it, but yet, what would you tell them?
Well, the simple answer is you have to just do it, right? But I think the deeper answer is like, you have to be willing to recognize that, like, you won't know all the answers until you start doing it. I think that's the thing that stops a lot of people, and that's what stopped me, was like feeling like, well, but how am I going to work out this detail or this detail or this detail? And you just can't get those kinds of answers until you're in action and you're moving through them. And the longer that you put it off, the more, that anxiety builds in you. And it's just that specific kind of anxiety of inaction that's like, probably familiar to a lot of people. It's very uncomfortable, and it just feels like you get frustrated with yourself. And I mean, I notice in myself when I even don't work for a few days and I'm putting something off, I get more snippy and more irritable with everyone around me.
Snippy. I love snippy.
Yeah, right? It's a good word.
Straight bitchy. I would say bitchy, but you're like snippy. Like a little puppy.
I was trying to keep it PG.
Snippy.
But yeah, I do. I get really bitchy, and I'm like, I don't want to be around anyone. I don't want to do anything. And I know that it's like deep down because I'm putting off this thing that's important to me. And it really starts to take a toll on my whole attitude. And so if you can think like that compounded over months or years for some people, it really alters your personality, and it really it puts up these giant blocks in you, like energetically speaking too, that just get harder and harder to break down. So that's my longer answer. But yeah, in short, it's like, if you're prepared to do it, you have to just do it. If you can, like, financially afford to quit your job, and you can not be stressed about, going hungry, then I think you got to just do it.
Yeah.
You can always go back to doing the thing you were doing before if it really doesn't work out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's leaping. You do have a parachute. I know when I took my leap, oh my God, it took me a while, it took me a good year or two as well. And then because it was just in my head, and I remember going back and reading my journals about, I cannot wait for the day when I don't have to rush my morning routine. I can go for a jog, and I can journal, and I can read, and because you're just on that rat race, because I work outside of the home. And when I decided, I remember one day being in the office, and I just got overwhelmed with emotion that I couldn't do this anymore. I had to go to another room, and I just cried. I mean, not like a pretty cry. It was like soul, like, really, like, I cannot do this anymore. And even from there, it was still another 6 months before I transitioned out. And I never felt, and I read all kind of books about, just to help my mind. And it is a mental work. It is that mental mindset that I had to work on to be ready for that. Because you're going against the grain. We've been raised to go to school, possibly go to college, and get a job.
Right.
Well, you get married or somewhere in there for women and all that, however we were raised.
Right.
And so when you're going against the grain, everything comes at you. To keep you in that box. And when you tell people, or you don't want to tell people, but you think of financial stuff, I won't say that I had all my financial thing, I had a short-term plan. It was like, I better make it. I better make it. It was like, I had no short, and I was like, I cannot work for anybody anymore. This guy, I got to use my education. I got, what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that creates like a good kind of pressure in a way, though, too.
It does. It kind of gets you. It did for me, and I tossed and turned a little bit but right before it finally happened, I had such peace, and I did it, and it's been like over a year now that I've been on my own with no thought of going back. And financially, did I have all my I's dotted and my T's crossed? No. But I am still driving the car I love to drive, living in the place I love to live in, and ain't nothing cheap. Nothing's inexpensive with what I'm doing. And I am, but it's still happening. And, I'm very, very grateful. So I understand what you're saying, but our listeners need to know it gets to that point. Now, we're not telling anybody, don't blame us, but we're definitely giving you examples to equip you, to strengthen you, to know that it's possible, that it can be done. So that is so cool, because you mentioned it. Frustration, the energy is just blocked, and being antsy, and actually being no fun because you hate your job. You don't like your job. Do everybody a favor and go do what you love.
Exactly. Yes. I saw a post that was hilarious once that said, like, it was like, go do what you were meant to do so you can stop being awful to be around, or something like that. And it was That's exactly how I felt.
Truth.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
Yep.
But we put our time in for insurance purposes or retirement purposes and, stuff that we see our parents do or,
Right.
totally different, totally different world right now. Oh, this is, so tell me this, what are your go-tos to stay on point? I know you talked about your energy work, but do you have books or whatever, I don't want to put any thoughts in your head.
Yeah. I would say the energy work is like my daily thing. Like I try to do that every morning, especially if I wake up groggy or in a bad mood. I try to do that, and that really helps me a lot. I actually just developed a program from my other process, and it's a program that's available for my Interplay members. And it is basically this set of questions that I've developed, and it's a way, I call it how to practice growing. And it's basically the set of questions that allows you to take, if you're feeling triggered by something, if you're feeling sad about something or something just upsetting you and you feel off, it allows you to break it down and like reflect on, where'd that feeling come from? What is it really related to? What's the deeper issue? Where's that conditioning coming in? Like you were mentioning, that conditioning that we grow up with, kind of getting into that. And then it says, okay, now let's think about like maybe how you want this aspect of your life to be going. Like what can you put your energy towards to really think about that? And there's a series of questions to help you kind of get clear on that. And then the last piece is taking action. So again, that idea of we can do our inner reflecting, but then how do we put it into the world and set goals? And so then it's about creating these goals for ourselves and creating habits that we're going to keep so that we can meet those goals. And so that's like my little framework of like, it's like my signature thing I do for myself. And it's the program that I've now made for my Interplay members. So I do that.
How do you? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry.
You do that?
Yeah, I do that like, kind of as needed, but it ends up being like about on a monthly basis, just as like a little check-in with myself. And that helps me a lot. And then other than that, I do yoga and I try to exercise as often as I can. Go on long walks and I do yoga or Pilates. That helps me a lot, just being in my body. And then I try to keep up some sort of creative practice, like even if it's just coloring, or I like to do a lot of like knitting and sewing projects and stuff like that. Just ways for me to get out of my head and into my body are always key.
You have multiple streams of coming in and out of yourself. I don't know if that even makes sense. I think I feel like I just made that up. But but that's what you're doing with it seems like with the crocheting or knitting or drawing or asking yourself questions and digging and probing your own self, but yet being kind to yourself, like I like to say. But you're balanced. Harmonizing your life is amazing. So when you talk about Interplay members, how do you become an Interplay member?
So you can sign up on my site. The website is interplay.fun, and that will lead you to both the Interplay platform and the Outer Work platform. And so they're run through this amazing app called Mighty Networks. And it kind of looks like a social network when you sign up. And so you'll see posts from members. You'll see the different groups that we're creating. So like in Outer Work, which is the anti-racism group, you'll see like we have a book group in there. We're about to start a film club in there. So it kind of looks like this social network, and you can get it, like you can use it on your computer or like in an app on your phone. So it's really cool.
I see Camp Interplay. I'm looking at it now. Camp Outer Work, and then events, and then the highest self Zen.
Yeah, the zine. Yeah.
Zine. Okay.
Yeah. So that was that's kind of the original version of what I just explained. That same process I just explained. Those questions I asked myself. So that zine I made last year, and that was the first set of questions that I created. As a kind of like little energetic check-in, I like to call it.
Can I read that? It says connecting to your intuition, checking in with your energy, releasing old patterns that stunt your growth, embracing new behaviors that support your journey to your higher self.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Thanks. Yes, there's actually only like 5 copies of that left. And then because I basically turned it into a digital version.
Okay.
Yeah, that's available through the program. Yeah.
Well, this is great.
Mm-hmm.
And look at that. And you created, well, when you go on interplay.fun, you'll see what I'm looking at. And is that a freehand drawings is it like a journal base, the actual hard copy?
Oh, yeah. I freehand drew the zine. Yeah.
Oh, that's
I actually,
great.
my mom helped me put it together, and she was here when I was making it, and I was like a frantic mess, and I drew it, and I had it printed locally in Santa Cruz by just the local mom and pop print shop, and yeah, I mailed them all out from my house. I sold almost 400 copies of that.
Oh my God, you have
really
5
fun.
left.
Yeah.
So I hope those who are listening that we get those last 5 out of her. This is great. Okay, so that's your go-to to stay on point. It's basically doing the work that you give out to others.
Yeah,
and
totally.
I think that's so key.
Yeah.
Wow. And you write, and so tell us. So you're writing. Is that writing for your interplay and outer works, or is there other things that you have in the queue?
Yeah,
that we can know about?
For right now, it is mostly through outer work, really, because Interplay, I'm in the process of rebuilding the platform, and so it's about to launch actually tomorrow. And then once that's launched, I'm going to start writing more in there, or relaunched rather. I'm going to start writing in there as well, the daily posts, education. In Interplay, it's going to be more like practices you can do, and then outer work, of course, is the daily education and action and reflection around anti-racism. So that's really taking the bulk of my time and attention at the moment, but I would love to start writing more and doing more like personal essays. I've done a couple for a few websites here and there over the years. I'd like to do more once I have more time and capacity and things are more settled. But yeah, that's where they are right now.
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know that this has been great, and I want to grab, before I ask you the last kind of question, just tell us everywhere where we can find you.
Sure. So the website is interplay.fun, and then my Instagram is, I have 2 Instagrams. My personal one is at Lenea Sims, so LeneaSims, and then our business Instagram is at interplay__outer work, and that's both platforms. Yeah,
well, I'll definitely add those to the show notes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And in closing, this is your platform, the world is listening, and what do you want your last words of this podcast to be? Share it.
Wow, no pressure.
Sorry.
It's okay.
You're like, bye. That's my last word.
I would say that my mission for everyone is that they cultivate a personal practice for their personal growth and for collective change. Those are my final words.
I love it. And with that, I want to thank you so much, Lenea, for just being you.
Yes.
And, and that's important, and finding yourself, because in that you have discovered how great you are, and then you're letting us all know how great you are. So
thank you.
Keep going, keep expanding, keep impacting, and you are truly a strong woman. Thank you
Carla.
So much.
I appreciate
You're so
it.
welcome. All right. Have a good one.
You too.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.